This is not a dream.
Inhale. After watching this video, you will be able to do the following. Learn the power of the pieces. Improve your knowledge of dynamics and tension in chess. Know how to exploit exchanges. Improve your prophylactic thinking and defense. Relate structures and plans. Master the exchange sacrifice. How does a chess assassin define tactics? Or how do we as chess assassins define tactics? Tactics, the art of 1. Organizing and employing fighting forces. Tactics involves the following. A. Firepower. B. Piece mobility. And C. Protection or safety. Now keep in mind that chess tactics is a separate function from chess strategy. What is chess strategy? Strategy is a set of organizational and technical attributes, or a process that is used to employ information resources. Parenthesis, chess theory from books, videos, or media, to solve problems or achieve goals. Now I'm going to break it all down to you by walking you through this next game. It is the Ruy Lopez opening. The exchange variation, and is given an ECO code. ECO stands for Encyclopedia of Chess Openings. Now there is a lot of theory based on this opening. Whatever source you use to learn more about this opening strategy, whether it's a DVD, video, or book, would be considered your information resource. And that is where you will learn about new ideas or strategy, or where to move your pieces and why. Here, pieces for both sides are strategically placed. However, tactics is a separate function from strategy. And here's a good illustration of tactics. Knight f3 defends the queen. Hypothetically speaking, if knight f3 was not placed on f3 like it should be, according to chess theory, and by it being black's move, then white would lose the queen by a tactical shot. Bishop takes h2 check, followed by queen takes d4. And black would be a queen up. That is why both strategy and tactics is important in a game. They go hand in hand. In this game, black captured the knight on c4, which was considered to be a dubious move. Now giving up the two bishop advantage for no good reason. Also, it would have been better for black to allow white to play knight takes d6. To allow white to play that so that black's pawn structure could be fixed instead of remaining doubled on a c-file. Now, what I've just said is based on strategic thinking. This rook now pins the bishop to the queen, and if the bishop on d6 move, falls to the rook on d1. Seeing that, black moves the queen out of the rook's line of fire, and leaving the queen in the pin will yield white more counterplay. Here, white wondering why white is so eager to trade pieces. The logic behind this is that white wants to quickly go to an endgame. Why? Well, the answer lies within chess theory that says the player that has the healthier pawn structure generally gets the better endgame. Black's pawns are doubled on the c-file and may not be so good for black in the endgame. So to conclude, by white playing the bishop or to offer a trade was tactical. And that tactical move is based on strategy.
Got a little brand new feel. Not so fast, switch play. Cut your car wheel. I'm on top, self-made. I'm the real deal. Switch play, switch play, switch play, switch play, switch play, switch play. I'ma take the rape, no cap. Trying to not get clapped. I'm tapped in, bulletproof vest, no strap. Don't test me, cut through quick, that's fast, yeah. Switch play.
Now both players began moving their kings toward the center. Why? The game has transitioned to the endgame. This is known as endgame strategy because kings play a very important role in the endgame. Here, white is offering to trade rooks on the d-file, and with every trade, white gets closer to the better pawn endgame, and in which white would reach the ultimate goal of exploiting the weakness of Black's double C pawns. And now, the power of the pieces and the pawn structure roadmap relate structures and plans. Pawn structure. The direction that they point is the same direction that Black will attack. The pawns point toward White's king side. And also in this same lesson, we're now focusing on the power of the pieces. So we're going to attack White's king side. The king side is open with the G file being closed because both pawns, Black and White pawns, are still occupying the G file, and the F file is closed, but the H file is open, and that's where Black wants to go. And if Black does castle, then of course Black will go to the queen side. But now in this position, the two bishops on F8 and D7 can be developed freely. The queen on F6 covers the H8 to A1 diagonal, and the rook controls the H file. Now let's go back. Now, the objective is to get our pieces into attacking positions off the back rank. So, game continues. Already pushing our pawns. Now the bishop is in the way now. And now we're ready to push the king side pawns. Understanding the dynamics and tension in the center will improve your prophylactic thinking and defense. Whenever you examine the pawn structure in a game, you will notice how it tells a story. In the Ruy Lopez, Black wants to play the pawn from D7 to D5. But B5 is played first so that Black can make this move. A battle in the center is taking place. And the idea is to create tension and hold the tension for maybe a few moves. Both players are threatening to capture a piece. Black's bishop on C5 and White's knight on F3. But White uses this time to buy more time by developing another piece. Now White's play in the center is dynamic. Now White is threatening the knight on C6 and the bishop on C5. Now, one idea for black is to capture the knight on e4 and then develop the bishop to d6. Now you'll have a bishop that's covering the h3 to c8 diagonal, and the other bishop will cover the h2 to b8 diagonal. Now, when you get to this type of endgame, you want to ask yourself some questions. Does it matter that black has 3 pawns on the queen side versus white's 2? Does it matter that white's pawn on d4 is isolated? And how are you going to play the pawns on the king side? That's why it's important to study the endgame, so you'll know what to do. In this next segment, you will see what can only be described as tactical madness. In a chess brawl, the initiative swings back and forth just like a basketball on the court during a game. 1 minute white can have the initiative, and the next minute the ball is in black's court. By practicing these lines that I'm about to show you will add another layer of sophistication to your game. This part of the video I call Dante's Inferno. On the left is board 1, and on the right is board 2. Each contender will be playing the Ruy Lopez Floor Zaitsev system, Eco Code C92. It is the closed variation of the Ruy Lopez, and each contender will be playing lines that have been selected for them. Now! Start now! Okay, both board 1 and board 2 are playing the same line, pass move 8 for black. So there are 3 continuations from black's 8th move, and if you look at the opening line above, C3 is the last move that white made. And now you see black's 8th move options. The first continuation selected from this position was Rook E8. Okay. This is the end of round 1. Round 2 starts. Now it's time for some middle game tactics. Each contender will play a different continuation. Move 14 starts the second round. Board 1 will play D5. And board 2 will play Knight G3. Board 2 will come back later. Right now, we want to examine board 1 continuation. Now, following are the key points that you need to become familiar with and take note of. Now, make sure you take notes because these key points I'm about to give you will be illustrated in the next example. 1. Pawns control important squares. 2. Defend weak pawns. 3. Target your opponent's weak pawns. 4. Deflect your opponent's pieces away from the defense of his own pieces. 5. Double attack your opponent's pieces and or pawns. 6. Control open files. 7. Contest open files. 8. Trade off pieces to go into the endgame. Black's pawn on a6 is prevented from marching because of the pawn on b4. The pawn on a4 is momentarily defended by the queen on d7. But White's next move deflects the queen on d7 from the defense of the pawn. How? By playing queen f4, both the queen on f4 and the bishop on g5 double attacks knight f6. The only way to defend it is queen e7. This is called deflection. Rook c8 reveals Black's intention to control the c5, but White contests this file. What ends up happening in this game is that all of the pawns on the queen side end up getting wiped out, except for d5. White's pawns are on f3, e4, and d5, and they all protect each other, which also means they are harder to stop. Therefore, Black tries hard to eliminate one of these pawns. Now it is White's move, and the move is obvious. That's right. Now White has a pass pawn on the d file. Notice White's two centralized pawns in the center of strength or a liability. This is the end of Boards 1 continuation. Now for Board 2, Middle Game Tactics. Game changer. Once again, take note of these key points that I'm about to give you for the next example. There are two types of defense, and they are direct defense and indirect defense. Evaluate all threats. Decide whether or not a threat is a pseudo threat or a serious threat. And lastly, if possible, answer a threat with a threat. Now it is time for Board 2, Middle Game Tactics. Knight G3 gives black three main options. He can simply play the bishop to G4, pressuring the knight on F3, take the pawn on D4, or play the knight back to C6 to reinforce the pressure on the D4 pawn. So taking the pawn on D4. Although the pawn on D6 is a backward pawn, yet it anchors the knight on E5. Now black's strategy here is for the bishop on F8 to have access to both diagonals. The A3 to F8 diagonal and the H6 to F8 diagonal. The rook on D1 X-rays the queen on D8 and the pawn on D6. White refuses to trade queens and chooses to continue the attack, pressuring the isolated pawn on D6. Now what happens if the knight takes the pawn on g6? Knight takes g6, and black responds with knight to d3, hitting not only the queen on f4, the rook on e1, and the rook on b2. Playing the rook down to c1, now the queen and the rook threatens to take the knight and checkmate the king. And black steps out.